morning, Chavirim. We are in Masechet Pesahim. Good morning, Masechet Pesahim. We are in today's Amound is Samech. Baruch Hashem. We got to Samech. It's a wonderful accomplishment. We're going to redo the Mishnah of Nun Tet Amud Bet.
We're Sameach.
Huh? So
We're Sameach.
we are Sameach. Nun Samech. We are Sameach. Then we're Samech. You have the Gemara Mordechai. Johnny, you have it. Mishnah Nun Tet Amud Bet, the bottom page. I need you to concentrate today because you got to hold on to the. You got to hold on to it because there's, fine nuances. A Pesach shrato shelo lishmo. So now the Korban Pesach needs to be shechted lishma. It needs to be shechted with the intent that you are bringing the Korban Pesach. So v'kavan ve'alach v'kibel ve'alach ve'zarak shelo lishmo. And the halacha is that you receive there's 4 abodot when it comes to the Korban Pesach.
Meir, please.
There are 4 abodot when it comes to the Korban Pesach. The first avodah is shechting the animal. The second avodah is getting the blood. The third avodah is bringing it towards the mizbeach. And the fourth avodah is putting it on the mizbeach. All these need to be done l'shem the mitzvah Korban Pesach. Okay? So what happens if a Pesach shator shelo lishmo? He did it not l'shem shamayim. He thought that it was a shlamim, for example. Or he thought there was a chatat. Or he thought it was something else. Or shelo lishmo. Or shel Zak shelo lishmo. That's the first thing. So it was done shelo lishmo. What does that mean? Or nishmo v'shelo lishmo. Or it was done nishmo and not nishmo. It was the Shem Pesach and not the Shem Pesach. We have to understand what that means. Or shelo lishmo. So first case. Third case. Shelo lishmo. So the first one, it sounds like everything's lo lishma. Second one is shelo lishmo v'lishmo. Not lishma and then nishma. Or lishmo. Or it was done nishmo for the sake of the Korban Pesach, v'shelo lishmo, and then not shelo lishmo. Or shelo lishmo. One second, I have to read it again. A Pesach shachato shelo lishmo. Okay, so it was done shelo lishmo. V'kibel v'alach v'zarak shelo lishmo. So that's the first case. The first case is there are 4 avodot. The first thing was shelo lishma, and the next 3 were lo lishma. Second case, o shelo lishmo or lishmo, or it was done l'shem shamayim, v'shelo lishmo. So the same korban was
1 and 3,
good and not good, lishmo and shelo lishmo. O shelo lishmo, or it was done not with the right intention, but lishmo and lishmo, pasul. So these 3 cases is pasul. Ketzad lishmo v'shelo lishmo. What does it mean? Lishmo v'shelo lishmo, l'shem pesach v'l'shem shlamim. So it means that you had in mind that you're doing it for the Korban Pesach and you're doing it also for Shlamim. Shelo lishmo v'lishmo. What does it mean that you did it without the right intention and afterwards for the right intention? L'shem shlamim v'l'shem Pesach. You did it for Shlamim and then you did it for Korban Pesach. So these 3 things are the Mishnah. Again, what we're talking about, the Korban Pesach has to be done lishma. There are 4 of in the Korban Pesach. The first part of the Mishnah, the 3 parts in the Mishnah. The first part of the Mishnah says you did the first one, Shchita shelo lishma, and then the all other 3 shelo lishma. Second case is you did it for Korban Pesach, and then you finished for Shlamim. And then the third one is you did it for Shlamim, and you did it for Korban Pesach. All of those is pasul. So far, so good? Now the Gemara wants to know, Ba'ira Papa, Be'avodah achat, nanu b'shtei avodot. Are we talking about 1 avodah or shtei avodot? In other words, when you say that shelo lishma is that there's number 1, 2, 3, 4. There is shchita, there is blood, getting the blood, there is holicha, and there is zrika. Does it mean that number 1 was shelo lishma or shelo lishma? This is for Pesach, and number 2 is for shlamim. Or does it mean that number 1, the shchita itself, is half-half? Does it mean that when I'm shechting the Korban Pesach, I'm thinking of Korban Pesach, but then when I'm getting the blood, I'm thinking of shlamim? Or does it mean that when I'm shechting, half the time when I'm shechting, I'm thinking about Korban Pesach, and half the time when I'm shechting, I'm thinking about shlamim? See the difference?
So only 1 and 2 has to be lishma, and 3 and 4 has.
No, they all have to be lishma. The question is, what is it possible here, and who's the author of the Mishnah? Who is the author of the Mishnah? We want to know who the author of the Mishnah is because sometimes there's a difference between if we hold Gola Meir or Rabbi Yossi.
Lishma is basically
the proper intention that I'm doing this for the Korban Pesach. The Gemara explains what that means. Tnan בעבודה אחת תנן, ורבי יוסי, דאמר אב בגמר דבריו אינם נתפס. So maybe it's Rabbi Yossi. Because Rabbi Yossi, we said yesterday, says that let's say you have an animal which is a sheep which is a shlamim, for example. Okay, this animal here is a shlamim, And I decide I don't want to give this one, I want to give those one, so I'm going to say, instead of this being shlamim, this is going to be shlamim. I thought that I'm going to remove the kedusha from this one, and I'm going to put it on this one. You know what happens? This one also becomes shlamim. Because you understand.
Also like an add-on.
Yes, an add-on. This is a shlamim, and this is also shlamim. You just basically got to give two things. Okay? You can. But what about if you say, this is a shlamim, and this will be a shlamim and ola? So he says, shlamim ola. So what does that mean? Is it a shlamim, or is it an ola, or is it a shlamim ola? So Rabbi Meir says we go with the first thing. The first thing you said is shlamim. Once you said shlamim, it was tofes. You just branded it, and then it's done. It can't, what you said afterwards is just nothing. It's just it. Or that's Rabbi Meir. Or is it Rabbi Yossi says it becomes both? Because really you had intent for both. How can it be both? When I'm going to bring this animal to the Beit HaMikdash, I can't bring it for an shlamim and olah. There's two different sets of laws. So you know what to do? You can't bring it. So what do? You let it graze. One day it's going to have a moon, it's going to have a blemish. It's not going to be fit for the Beit HaMikdash. You're going to buy it back. And the money now is shlamim and olah money. The money now will be used, half of the money, 50% for a shlamim, half of it for an olah.
Because you had the kavanah both at the same time.
Yeah, and we accept a kavanah of two things at once.
Wow.
So is our Mishnah Rabbi Yossi that even in one avoida it's pasul? For example, when you said, I'm shechting it for shlita for shlamim, for pesachim for shlamim. Too bad, it's both. So the second thought that you had also counts. That's Rabbi Yossi. So this Mishnah could be Rabbi Yossi. And then it would be even in one avoida. But according to Rabbi Meir, because the Rabbi Meir, ha'amar tafus lashon rishon. Because Rabbi Meir said it would be kosher. If I ask you, Rabbi Meir, here I have a problem, Rabbi Meir did a problem. I was checking it, and in the middle I thought, I'm going to change it to shlamim. I thought it's allowed, and I realized it's not allowed. What's the halacha? You thought first Pesach, it's Pesach. It's kosher. So our Mishnah, it won't be our Mishnah. That our Mishnah can be, or Rabbi Meir will say that case is kosher. And what was the Mishnah talking about? Or Dilma b'shtei avodot tnan v'afilu Rabbi Meir.
Is he holding that you could have two kavanot at the exact same time, or just one after the
One
other?
after the other, but they both count. Because since you can't think two thoughts at once,
Right.
so it meant you want both, and we accept both. That's Rabbi Yossi.
No, he says you could think both, you just can't say them.
You can't say them, you can't think them as well.
You can't do that.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
saying that you could.
You know what? You're actually saying good. I can think both the same, but it's really, I think it's not that you can think both at the same time. It's that you go super fast,
Yeah.
and you think one, you think the other.
Right.
You can't say it.
You can't say it.
You can't say it.
You can't say it.
You include it.
You include it
in the.
So according to Rabbi Yossi, no. You thought first, we're talking about a guy that's starting the shechita for Pesach and then doing it for shlamim. So what does Rabbi Meir say? That's kosher. So if you ask that, so that would not be, our Mishnah would not be that. So it must be, if we're saying our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, it's the two different avodot. When he shechted, he thought Pesach, and when he got the blood, he thought shlamim. So now he mixed up, and now on the second avoida, that's an independent thing. Then we're going to accept that your thought is shlami.
Also, the reverse case, it's for a Pesach.
For Pesach and shlamim, or shlamim and Pesach.
I'm saying he's thinking shlamim first, but it's supposed to
Yes.
be Pesach.
It's supposed to be Pesach. It's always supposed to be
always
Pesach.
Pesach.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Let's read that thing together. Odin, top of the page, Sameh. B'shtei avodot tnan, v'afilu li Rabbi Meir. Even Rabbi Meir said you go with the first language. In one avoida, we only go with one thought. Shrita is only one thought. You can't have two thoughts. But the second part, where you're sprinkling the blood, for example, then modeh de mifsad. Then you can have two different thoughts. Each one is an independent thing. In one circumstance, in one element, in one action, you can only have one thought. But in the second one, there you can have only one thought, but that is independent from this. It's a different action. So there you can actually have a second thought, and then you messed it up. So who is our Mishnah? Is our Mishnah Rabbi Yossi, and it's in one action? Or is it Rabbi Meir, and it is in two actions? You guys got the question? The Gemara says, Amre Ahaya. Okay, 1 second. That only is going to make a practical difference in one case. Inema ashelo lishmo velishmo. If you want to say that there's a practical difference between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir, when the guy starts off, shelo lishma velishmo, so he starts off thinking it's shlamim, that's case number 3, and then he thinks that it is for Pesach, ben b'avodah ben b'shtei avodot, ben li Rabbi Meir, ben li Rabbi Yossi, Ibsan. Everybody agrees that's not kosher. Because let's go with Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi's thinking in the first avodah, he's doing it Shem Pesach. And then the second one, it's Pesach Shlamim. So according to Rabbi Yossi, I'm sorry, Shelo lishmo, yeah. Shelo lishmo, sorry, my mistake. The guy's starting off with shlamim. Okay, according to Rabbi Meir. Starting off shlamim, and then he's going next to Pesach. Well, that's already
According to
puzzle.
Meir,
Once you said shlamim, it's puzzle from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Rabbi Meir, then b'avodah achat, then b'shtei avodot. So, and then now, even if it's one avodah, according to Rabbi Meir, we go with the first that you had. The first that you had is shlamim, and then the second one is Pesach. It's puzzle. And according to Rabbi Yossi, for sure it's puzzle. We accept both on each one. Ben Rabbi Meir, ben Rabbi Yifsan. Mikamaita, the Rabbi Yossi af nami bigmar dvarav adam nipas. Because even Rabbi Yossi, when it comes to the first thing, where even the second one, the first one, shelo lishma, which is Pesach and shlamim, or shlamim and Pesach, we go with the first that you had. It's also pasul. The Rabbi Yossi af bigmar dvarav adam nipas. Itle. So the real question is only in the case where he said lishmo and no lishmo. Is that in one case or two cases? Okay, I just want to review it for myself to make sure I'm saying it right. So we have 4 avodot in the korban. We have first avodah shrita, kabbalah, halacha, zrika. Okay, these are the 4 avodot. You need to have the proper intention for all 4. There's machloket Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi in general. Can you have 2 thoughts at once or only 1 thought? Rabbi Meir says we accept both thoughts, they're both binding. According to Rabbi Meir, only the first thought you have is binding. Now we want to know who our Mishnah is, because our Mishnah says if you do shrita, not nishma, and then all the other 4, not nishma, it's pasul.
The other three.
What's the possible case by Rabbi Yossi?
Let's go through them. Okay, so the Mishnah, what did our Mishnah say? You shecht it shelo lishma, and then you do all the other ones shelo lishma. That's for sure not good. It sounds like you did all 4 shelo lishma. Okay, that's not good.
That's the easiest one.
That's for sure.
No.
Then the second case was lishma shelo lishma. So I'm doing it for the proper intention, and then I mix up. What is that? Is that, and then the second case is shelo lishma. I'm doing the wrong intention, and I catch up. So what are we talking about? Is that when you had the right intention, wrong intention, is that in one action, shrita, or is that in 2 actions? Shrita, shlami. Shlami, shrita.
Because there's 4 steps.
In one action, when I'm shechting, at the beginning of my shrita, I'm thinking, this is going to be more korban pesach. You say, you know what, I'm going to do it for shlami. I'm going to buy another korban pesach. It's too small. So that could happen. So is that in one thought? So what happens according to Rabbi Meir when you do that? Pesach, shlamim.
Pesach.
That's kosher. Kosher.
Pesach.
Yeah. So then how could the Mishnah be pasul? So it must be, the Mishnah says Pesach,
Right.
Shlamim.
Kind of like when you say a bracha b'toch dibur, it's almost something like that. Like, you know, when you say a bracha.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of
Can
like-
you do that? Can you do that according to Rabbi Meir?
We do the shechita or the Kohen does the shechita?
Yes, it's called korban pesach.
The Kohen.
Why
How we do it.
Okay.
So the Kohen's never going to have this issue. The Kohen might forget because he's doing so many of them, and he
know,
might say,
it could be
it's a
that-
Pesach or it's
okay,
a
We're not
Yom.
doing this, right? This
You know,
is
I just want to tell you that I can't remember if Korban Pesach you're allowed to do the shechita. Could be.
I thought it was
wrong.
us, and then we bring it.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to do the shechita on Korban Pesach. But either way, it could be happening to the Kohen. So the Kohen's mitbalben. What did you tell me? You told me shlami. You told me what is this?
So if the Kohen messes up your thing,
Yes.
you're not Yotzeh.
No, you're not. And we spoke about it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
If your intent is not pure enough, it's going to mix him up.
Yeah, we did speak about this.
Sometimes I write tefillin for people, it goes smooth. Sometimes it's not working. What's happened? It's not working. It's not me. Do tshuva. Go to the mikveh.
Oh, the guy that you're ready to.
I'm ready for it. One guy you write tefillin, everything's perfect, glat, kosher, meudar, kavanot, mind, make everything.
Wow.
Another guy put a hole, a pasura, an ink.
Charge him more.
Not charge him more.
Okay.
do tshuva. Do tshuva. Okay, so now the first act that we're talking about. So when we said the Mishnah says it's pasul, according to Rabbi Meir, if you think, okay, you're doing it. If you're doing it Pesach, Shlami, that's kosher. So it must be that it's possible for Rabbi Meir when you did Pesach, and the second one is Shlamim. Meaning you shechted it for Pesach, and then when you got the blood, you thought Shlamim. That's the only way it's going to be possible for Rabbi Meir. But according to Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Yossi, when you think Shrita, Shlamim, even in one action, we accept both of them and you puzzled it. Okay? Now the Gemara wants to know, where is that question really coming about? Inema, I'm reading again, 4th line. Inema ashelo lishmo velishmo. So it's shlamim pesach Once you think shlamim, everybody says it's always puzzle. Let's go for Rabbi Yossi. I'm shechting. Shlamim Pesach.
If it's split up, then it doesn't work.
Let's do 4 cases. I'm shechting, shlam, and I'm shechting. I'm thinking that's one case. Shlamim Pesach. Everybody says that's possible.
No, Rabbi Yossi says that's fine.
No, because Rabbi says we go with both thoughts. They both count. Rabbi Meir says that's not
Rabbi Meir
good.
says no.
Not good because you shechted shlamim Pesach. So you're off the bat you're no good.
Saying, so
And then if you say in 2 avodot for sure it's not good.
that's where Rabbi Yossi would say it's not good.
Rabbi Yossi, however, in it, if you start with Lishma, Pesach, and then Shlamim, now there's a difference Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. Because let's say I'm shechting it, Pesach, Shlamim. What does Rabbi Meir say? Kosher. And I go on and I can do everything else Pesach. Good. What does Rabbi Yossi say? Pasul. So the only practical case that we want to know where there's a difference is when it is I start off Lishma and I end Lo Lishma. If you say it's Rabbi Yossi, it'll be puzzle even in one action. And if you say it's Rabbi Meir, it's only puzzle in 2 actions. I'll read it again.
In the case where it's 2 actions, but it's a shlomim first,
Everybody
that's where it
says it's
doesn't work
possible.
for- yeah, exactly.
Everybody says
That's
it's
where
possible. The
everyone
only case where there would be a
Exactly.
practical difference where Rabbi Yossi will say kosher and Rabbi Meir will say not kosher is when it is in one action and my original thought is Pesach,
Oh, Pesach.
and then I switch halfway to Shlamim. Rabbi Meir is going to say you're good to go, and Rabbi Yossi says you got to bring another korban. Okay, let's just read that again. Inema ashelo lishmo belishmo. If you start wrong, ben bavodacha, ben mishtavodot, ben Rabbi Meir, ben Rabbi Yossi, ifsal. It's possible according to every. Mikara. Rabbi Yossi nami abigmar dvarav adam nitpas. Because according to Rabbi Yossi, we accept both of your things. So you think that you're starting off Shlamim Pesach. That's both. That's you're accept. It's both. The korban is both, so it does nothing. Ite and ashelo lishmo, ashel lishmo, v'shelo lishmo bayin. We really want to know in nishmo and lo lishmo. You started off with the right intent Pesach, and then you go to Shlamim. What is the halakha? So far, so good. You guys got the question?
Yeah.
Tashma. So now we're going to go back and analyze our Mishnah to see if we can find an answer. Tashma. So now we're quoting again our Mishnah. Remember the first we said, first case we said in our Mishnah? Ha-Pesach sheshacheto shelo lishmo. What was the first thing? You shechted Shlamim. V'kibel v'alach v'zarak shelo lishmo. Then you got the blood, and you brought it to the Mizbeach, and you threw it shelo lishmo. Echidami. What are we talking about there? If you want to say this and this, how it's written, you shechted shelo lishma and you did everything lo lishma. Lamani adi mechashev likulu mikamaita yisalu. Why will the Mishnah have to go through all those 4 cases? If I shechted shelo lishma, it's puzzle.
The whole thing.
What if you tell me you shechted shelo lishma and you brought a shelo lishma? That's it. Game over. Don't waste your time. It's done. Stop. So it can't be that that's the first case in the Mishnah. It cannot be because it doesn't make sense to say that. So it must be the first case in the Mishnah. It's not like we thought it's written.
That you shechted the lishma and then everything else.
Exactly. Ela lav achi katane. Here's what it must mean in the first case in the Mishnah. A pesach sheshachato shelo lishmo. What it really meant is you did the number 1 X. Inami, or second case. So really the first case has a few cases. Inami shacheto lishmo, or you shechted it good. V'kiben v'alach v'zarak shelo lishmo. And then you did the rest. You did the rest no good. So you shechted it good, and then you got the blood good. Inami, or shacheto v'kiben v'alach lishmo. You did all 3, the first 3 good. V'zarak shelo lishmo. So now it must be that the first case of the Mishnah is talking about 2 avodot. Because it doesn't make sense to say anything else. So in the first case of the Mishnah, we're talking about he had good intention for 1, 2, 3, and number 4 he had bad intention. Or 1 he had a good intention, 2 he had bad intention. There's no other way to explain the first case of the Mishnah seemingly. That now, if that's good, you guys got this? Ema seifa. Shelo lo lishmo v'shelo lishmo. Now let's go to the second part of the Mishnah. The last part of the Mishnah says, second part of the Mishnah says, lishmo v'shelo lishmo. You had the right intention and then the wrong intention. Lishmo echidami. Echidami, how does that work? Inema b'shte avodot hainu reisha. So if you want to say that the second part of the Mishnah is also 2 different actions different non-proper thoughts in different actions, it's the same as the Reisha. The first part of the Mishnah, the second part of the Mishnah is going to be exactly the same. And that does not make sense to do that. We cannot have two parts of the Mishnah the same. The Mishnah will not be redundant. You with me, God? It will not repeat itself. Elalav, huh?
Can't hear really.
It's a good song. Elalav, huh?
Not a good song. We can't hear.
I started Lishma, but now it's.
Elalav, let's finish and I'll repeat it. Elalav ba'avodah achat. Rabbi Yossi, it must be it's avodah achat, the first case or the second case. Damar af b'gemar dvarav adam nitpas. It must be that it's Rabbi Yossi, and even the end thought is also counting. So that means that he thought afterwards shlamim in the second case. So let's So we're trying to give a proof over here. We're trying to give a proof that the second part of our Mishnah is two different thoughts in one action. How will we prove that? John, you with me? A little bit. Okay, how are we going to prove that? We're going to prove it like this. The first case, what do we say? The first case said, if you shecht shelo lishma, Johnny, with me? If you shecht shelo lishma.
Sorry, can you just define that again? You shecht shelo lishma. I'm coming to give korban pesach.
It's korban pesach, and the guy's thinking, okay, here's my shlamim, my shechni. I had two animals.
You change the covenant.
And I change the kavanah. What are you doing? This is pesach.
You did this.
Yeah, whoever's shechting. Whether you or the korban. Or the
You
kohen.
forgot it's Pesach?
No, you just thought, I'm going to bring
Forgot
another one
the order.
after. Okay, this one I'm going to bring for this, and I'm going to bring for that, and you mix them up. Could happen.
Oh, you mix the animals up.
Mix them up. There's a million one cases how
Okay,
it
so
could happen.
animal, goat A is korban pesach, goat B
The
is...
guy's an Amaretz.
No.
No.
You take a Pesach and you're just saying that it's shlomi.
You know what?
You just think it's a shlomi for a second.
By the way, you know the guy came in to put on tefillin? The guy comes in on tefillin, I starts taking tefillin, so I told him, it's Rabbeinu Tam.
Ah.
He told me, I'm going to finish before he comes. What's your problem? I'm going to finish before he comes
Oh,
back.
Right.
You understand what that means?
Yeah, he made the bracha on Rabbeinu Tam.
No.
Oh.
I need to put on fillings. So the guy's put on. I go, no, those are Rabbeinu Tam.
Right.
No, Rabbeinu Tam. He says, what's your problem? I'm going to finish in 2 minutes. I'm going to finish before he comes
It
back.
belongs to Rabbi Nutam.
He thought that the guy is Rabbeinu Tam.
Oh, yeah, okay.
thought the owner was-
Okay, I got you.
You understand?
Okay, all
So
right.
the guy came once to the Beit Mikdash. He
Yeah.
wants to do shlamim.
Yeah.
He doesn't know nothing. It's Pesach shlamim.
Yeah.
Listen, think this is Pesach. He's thinking, you
Yeah.
know, things happen. Okay.
Bilbul.
Bilbulim.
He's not sure, but doesn't know what to do.
So the guy-
Wait,
But
what,
too
actually
early, he
happened to
doesn't
you?
remember.
Okay. I don't want to get stuck over here.
Yeah.
I'm repeating it one more time.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a hard page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Korban Pesach needs to be done with the proper intention. Yes?
Yes.
When you come, you got to shecht it Pesach. You got to get the blood Pesach.
Yeah.
You got to get bring it to the Mizbeh Pesach, and you got to sprinkle it Pesach.
Right.
Good. The Mishnah says, then it says, if you do half, not kosher.
Mhm.
What does it mean half? Does it mean in number one it's half, or number one is half and number two is half? Number one is Pesach. Does it mean that when I'm shechting I have two thoughts, bipolar thoughts?
Yep.
Or is it I thought good for Pesach when I'm shechting, and then I thought that I'm going to bring it to the Mizbeach for Shlami? Because who is our Mishnah? Because Rabbi Yossi says it'll be possible even in one action, two different thoughts. Rabbi Meir says you only go with the first thought.
I agree.
Huh?
I agree. It makes more sense. Because your mind can wander, but like you know where you went. I went all the way there for my Pesach, and that's it.
So-
But if I
No, but it's at the time that you're shechting.
Okay, but you can have a real Amaretz. He's saying, you know what? Le Rabbi, il veut que j'amène deux. Je vais amener un, je vais faire un 2 for 1. They want me to spend $800 over here. No, I'm going to bring one shlamim, one kombina. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work. So the guy could really think. You're saying, John, that the guy knows what he's doing and he's on a bad thought. No, the guy thinks the chatchina, this is both. The rabbis, it's both. The guy comes to, people come with things like that.
You have this in tzedakah, by the way. You have this in tzedakah. You know, a guy he has a certain amount and promised here, and then
The guy told me I want to pay my donation.
Right.
Pay my donation and give me the mikveh pass. I said the mikveh pass is your shower and your shampoo,
Right.
and your donation when you're mixing
Right.
things up.
Right.
A guy goes to the businessman. The guy was doing a deal with somebody,
Yeah.
and he says, "Okay, now if we do the deal, I want you to give him 10% of my shoe." He told him, he says, "Listen, you're tzedakot, you leave me alone.
Yeah.
This is business.
Yeah.
You after finish business, come to talk to me about tzedakot. Don't mix up.
Right.
You're mixing everything up. I don't like it. Let's do the deal properly. Afterwards, we'll talk about
People love
tzedakot.
to mix
People
things.
love
Yeah.
to,
Love
no,
Ringo does it.
Moroccans love to mix things up. They love to.
That's why our food is better.
The Ashkenazim, keep things. We gotta learn from. I think it's better to keep things separate.
Yeah, but our
The
food
shul
tastes
and the
good.
kollel together. Understand? Keep things that way.
One
everything
thought.
good. So that's the question. When we said in our Mishnah that it's pasul, is it pasul because he thought Rabbi Meir shechted it, Pesach, brought it, shlamim? Because I say if you shechted shlamim Pesach at the same time, Pesach shlamim at the same time, that's okay. But Rabbi Yossi will be even more strict. Maybe our Mishnah is Rabbi Yossi, and when you shecht it, and you're thinking Pesach and shlamim at the same time, you made it pasul according to Rabbi Yossi. That's our question. By the way, what does it make a difference? Because we know that the halakha will be, for example, Rabbi Meir over Rabbi Yossi, and therefore, who is our Mishnah? And it's going to come out a real big important case in halakha, all the way down to the Bet Mikdash, where we're going to have the poskim and the really practical case. So we need to know who is our Mishnah. Is it Rabbi Meir? Is it Rabbi Yossi? How did Rabbi Yehuda Nasi choose? Because Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is writing this halakha, so therefore it's going to have a lot of different ramifications in different halachot. He told me something good. I'm wondering. I think it's also the same thing in the Chol Brachot.
Right.
Did I get my mitzvah? I didn't get my mitzvah.
Right.
That's the question. Did I get it or I didn't get it?
Right.
So if you say like Rabbi Yossi, like Rabbi Meir, too bad for you. If you say like Rabbi Yossi, maybe you can catch it up. I'm giving an example. I can't remember the other shtachot of that.
Right.
Okay, so now we want to go back. Now let's go back into our Mishnah and analyze. Who is our Mishnah? So the Gemara says, what did we say in the first thing? We have three cases in the Mishnah. Remember, first case is you did everything pasul. 100% pasul times 4. Then the second case is you started kosher, you got the pasul. Or you started pasul, you got the kosher. So far so good? Let's analyze that first case. You shechted pasul, you brought pasul, you sprinkled pasul, everything pasul. Tell me, why do you need to tell me that? Once I shechted pasul, everybody agrees it's done. Don't continue. When you're writing a mezuzah and you miss a letter at the beginning and then you write Hashem's name, that's it. Don't continue. Put in the gniza. There's nothing what to do. So if you shechted for shlamim and it's Pesach, you lost the game. Must be that's not what the part of the Mishnah means, because it wouldn't be written. It must be actually what it is. It's when it said one is pasul. It's one of the four is pasul.
Yeah.
Either one is pasul, or two is pasul, or three is pasul, or four is pasul. Then it's pasul. That's what it means. And therefore, we have to say that the beginning part of the Mishnah is talking about four different specific cases, not one case.
So
Meaning I shechted properly and I sprinkled it properly. So we see that the beginning part of the Mishnah is talking about separate cases. Good intention in A, bad intention in B. If that's true, so let's read the second part of the Mishnah.
The only
Wait, 1 second, God. If that's true, let's read the second part of the Mishnah. You had the right intention, and then you had the wrong intention. What is that? Is that talking about in A, good intention, and then B, wrong intention? Well, why are you repeating the same thing twice? Basically, you just told me that in the first part of the Mishnah. So don't read it. It must be the first case of the Mishnah is separate cases, and the second case of the Mishnah is in one case.
We're trying to say that if you do any one of the four with a bad kavanah, it won't be good.
Well, that's for sure true. That is for sure true. Everybody agrees with that. We just proved, however, that the first case of the Mishnah is four separate cases. And if we prove that the first is four separate cases, so now let's read the second case. Our only question was, what do we do with the second case? Lishma and lo lishma. You thought you're shechting Pesach. It says you did it lishma and lo lishma. We wanted to know, is that case number 1 Pesach, case number 2 shlamim, or is it
Or it's
in
both
case
in the
number
same
1
night.
Pesach shlamim? Well, if you want to say that it's A is one and B two separate things, A is good and B is no good, or
Has
then
to
why
be
would you
on
say
the
that again?
machloket.
You just told me that in the first part of the
It has
Mishnah.
to be that there's a machloket. Where Rabbi Yossi
No,
and Rabbi Meir
the
don't
Mishnah
agree.
won't teach the same thing twice. It is redundant. So the Mishnah won't teach the same things twice, so that is a problem. Must be that the second part of the Mishnah is Rabbi Yossi. And it must be the second part of the Mishnah was actually teaching you another chidush. The first part of the Mishnah is telling you, you did A good, you did B not good. It's not good. Second part of the Mishnah is telling you, in A you thought two things, and it still says Pasuk, it's Rabbi Yossi. That's the only way you can reconcile the Mishnah, otherwise the Mishnah doesn't make sense. So the Gemara answers that, so we're getting onto this. The Gemara says no. Lo, leolam b'shtei avodot. Actually, no, it's not true. First case of the Mishnah is, we're talking about two different. The first thing you did good, the second thing you did not good. So what does it mean? And they're both talking about that. However, b'shtei avodot v'reisha dekai b'shrita v'kam mechashev b'shrita. Inami dekai b'zrika mechashev b'zrika. Seifa dekai b'shrita v'kam mechashev b'zrika. Damar אני שוחט את פסח לשמו וזרוק דמו שלא לשמו. וכמה שמונה דמחשבת מעבודה לעבודה, היינו ביד רפאפה. Really, we're talking about two different cases, yes.
So then the
But the
second
first
one
case is, what is the first case? I'm doing my shrita l'shrita. And I'm doing my zrika for shlamim. That's for shirpasul. And then the second case is, I'm doing my shrita for shrita, but I'm thinking at this moment that I'm going to do my zrika for shlamim.
Oh, so not even how we thought.
My thought for the future one is
second
already
action
wrong.
is,
And so the chidush is that a thought now, when I'm not involved in the action, could be possible my future action. That is the chidush.
What about the?
And that is our question about pap. So we don't know the
Probably
answer.
not enough.
So we thought we have the answer. We don't have the answer.
I'm saying there's no case where you're doing a Pesach Shlamim in the same in the same.
Is there no case? We're just going to do a few more minutes. Is there no case?
We're not talking about a case.
We're not
where-
talking about that case in the Mishnah. I want to be clear. We want to know what Rabbi Yehuda. Let's explain this a little bit better. 2,000 years ago, there was Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Meir is buried in Tveria, and Rabbi Yossi, I'm not sure where he's buried. These are Tanaim. 3, let's say 50, 60 years later, 7 years later, comes a big tzaddik, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He writes the Mishnayot. Now he has teachings from Rabbi Yehuda, he has teachings from Rabbi Yossi. When he writes his Mishnah, he doesn't tell you Rabbi Yossi, but he's a posek basically. And what he's doing, he's the posek of the door. What he's doing is he's writing halakha l'maaseh. Now on purpose, he's not going to write you the name of the Tana. Because if he'll write you his Mishnah says, Rabbi Yossi says, then you say, I'm going to go on Rabbi Meir. When you read Yalkut Yosef, you're reading halakha, you think it's etched in stone. It's actually not etched in stone. There's the Rambam, there's the Rosh, there's the Rif, there's 100 different opinions. He's writing you the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that you're going to open and say, this is what the Torah said with no exceptions. And that's why Baal Tshuva, you should not talk too much about halachot to other people. Do what is written. But say it's asur, it's pasur. Come on, you don't know nothing yet. In one opinion, there's 10 other opinions and 10 different cases. You know? You learned that the hard way at the beginning. Because you say, I made a mistake, it wasn't exactly like that, I made a mistake. But Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is writing his Mishnayot that way. So you won't know, so that you're going to do what he says. So he leaves out the author. In one halakha he's going to choose like Rabbi Meir, and in one halakha he's going to choose like Rabbi Yossi. It's not standard. In here, who's he going like? We want to know he's going like. You know why? Because if we know what Rabbi Yehuda Nasi holds here, we're going to know what he holds in 100 different cases. He holds like Rabbi Yossi, so he's going to give us a lot of different information. So we really want to midayek in the words of how Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wrote the Mishnah. Did he go like Rabbi Meir or did he go like Rabbi Yossi? In order to teach us.
There was no way for him to
Now
make it
our
clear. To make it clear which
yes,
way
he did write it clear, but he did it with such a precision that you need analysis to know what he meant. Now sometimes the Gemara is going to say, actually it's not clear, and maybe Rabbi Yehuda did on purpose. To keep you in the loop, to keep you out of, to make you be machmir in two cases, But the Rabbanan, that's what the whole Gemara and the Rishonim are doing. Why did he do that? Why did they say like that? Okay, now it comes out like this, okay? And we still can't figure it out. If he was here, we'd ask him, so we're going to have to do like this, Yalacha, be machmir al shitot, whatever that means. So here is so there is definitely a situation where a guy will be shechting Pesach Shlamim. And if you'll ask Rabbi Meir, since that's kosher, ask Rabbi Yossi, he's going to say that's puzzle. The question is, what did Rabbi write in our Mishnah? Did he write kosher puzzle? So now we want to analyze our Mishnahs to see what did he write. Did he write like this or like this? So we wanted to say that through analysis it must be Rabbi Yossi. Because the first case of the Mishnah says 4 things that are puzzle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it can't be that all 4 are puzzle because you don't need to teach that. It must be one of the 4 is puzzle. You don't need to tell me the guy shechted not good and brought in not good and the sprinkled not good and that's already not good after one thing. So it must be that what he did was one of the 4 is not good. If one of the 4 is not good, that means that, for example, A is not good, or A is good and B is not good.
Or C.
Okay? A is good and B is not good. For example, Shrita was good and bringing his sprinkling the blood and getting the blood was not good. Okay? We have to say that. So now let's go to the second part of the Mishnah. Second part of the Mishnah tells you, if you shefted lishma and shelo lishma, it's not kosher. What does that mean? Does it mean he did A good and B not good? Can't be that, because you just told me that. You just told me that in verse of our Mishnah. From here we infer and we deduce that the first part of the Mishnah was, when we're talking about the second, that was, this is good and this is not good. And the second part of the Mishnah is, in the first action he did, when we said good and not good, is in the same action, he's shefting good and he's ending not good. And it's Rabbi Yossi. So we found the answer. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is going like Rabbi Yossi, and we know the Halacha, and we're good to go, and we're Machmir, and too bad. The Gemara says, no, that's not how you learn the Mishnah. The first part of the Mishnah is like you said. A is good and B is not good. And the second part of the Mishnah is also A is good and B is not good. Why are you repeating it twice? Because it's a little subtle difference. You can have A, I'm shechting everything good, and I'm shechting good, and then I'm sprinkling not good. Sprinkling for shlami. Or, that's for sure pasul. But the second case is telling you an even bigger chiddush. You can even be shechting good, now I'm shechting good, and when I'm going to sprinkle the blood, I'm going to do it for shlami. I'm not yet sprinkling. Your thought before the sprinkling will also be included to make it possible. And that's how we can answer up. So therefore, we're not sure that this is a possible way of learning. It's not the way of learning. It is a possible way of learning. We're not saying that this is definite. You could go like this, you could go like this.
Shut down the other one.
Therefore, we have no definitive proof from the Mishnah so far. What we thought is a proof is not a proof. I come to you with a great argument, and I'm gonna prove to you. I said, 1 second, let me flip the coin. Could be right, but you could be wrong. Look at this side. So that's what we just did. So at the end, we just got to a place where we are not 100% sure what the Mishnah means, and we're going to try to go through one more thing to see it.
It sounded like it shut it down, no?
We're going to stop now. It was a hard Amound. Bezat Hashem, Shabbat Kodesh, we're able to catch up.